In 1988, Medea Benjamin, Kevin Danaher, and Kirsten Moeller founded Global Exchange as an Education for Action organization to work in solidarity with grassroots movements struggling for social, economic, and environmental justice around the world.
We met with grassroots activists around the world who changed our lives. They changed our hearts. They built a sense of solidarity with their struggles.
When you're working for peace and justice and you're connecting to people working for peace and justice around the world, you're connecting to the people with the most heart and soul and love.
How do you organize when you have no resources? How do you engage a whole community like the landless movement in Brazil? It's so inspiring.
In our early years, Global Exchange launched a regional approach to human rights and global justice. Acting as a catalyst, we amplified the important work of country-specific solidarity groups, creating partnerships between activists in the United States, Africa, the Caribbean, and Latin America.
Reality tours was a way of bringing people to a country and actually meet with people to see how they're solving their problems, to get inspired to be able to use some of the things that happen in those countries in our own country, and to learn what our government's foreign policies and our corporate policies are doing in those countries.
Global Exchange launched the Freedom to Travel to Cuba campaign, challenging the unjust embargo that remained after the Cold War.
We've learned so much from the Cubans, and we've developed such great relations over the years, and our reality tours have been fantastic exchanges between people who are searching for alternatives here and people searching for alternatives there.
Our relations with our closest neighbor, Mexico, changed dramatically on January 1st, 1994, the day the North American Free Trade Agreement went into effect. The Zapatistas rose up in Chiapas, rebelling against the way they were being incorporated into the global economy. Global Exchange joined the Zapatistas on a hunger strike and opened a peace house in Chiapas to provide a safe meeting space for local and foreign activists.
They rose up with a global values revolution in mind, saying, look, the neoliberal corporate domination model has failed. We want life values, social justice, and the environment to dominate money values, not have money values dominate life values. That's the beginning of the global revolution.
Here, Thai immigrants toiled for 17 hours each day.
Global Exchange reintroduced the term sweatshop into the popular lexicon by drawing attention to labor conditions in US-owned factories overseas. Global Exchange filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of 20,000 garment workers and against US retailers for using indentured labor and violating international human rights laws on the island of Saipan.
Factories were moving to Saipan, which is a US protectorate, so that they could sew a little made in the US a label in the clothes, but they were importing workers from the Philippines and from China to work in horrible conditions.
1999, the stage was set for the battle in Seattle. The streets of Seattle were filled with the most diverse protests in US history, with activists from all sectors of the global justice movement taking a stand against the World Trade Organization.
Corporate rule! Don't be a fool! End corporate rule!
We turned down about 50,000 people on the streets of Seattle, and we shut that meeting down.
No new round! Shut it down!
Our protest in the streets emboldened the third world government representatives to start making greater demands. So at the end of their 4-day conference, they didn't even have a press release. They accomplished nothing.
We were making history by changing the rules of the global economy, and then September 11th happened. So we got people who were the families of victims of 9/11 to go with us to Afghanistan to see directly and to connect with people who had been hurt by our bombs. We created something called United for Peace that then became the National Coalition United for Peace and Justice.
I think we need weapons inspections, not war. Why are you obstructing the inspections?
We helped organize demonstrations that had hundreds of thousands of people out on the streets, and we are one of the few groups that continues to this day to insist that our troops come home.
In 2002, Medea Benjamin and Jody Evans launched Code Pink to end the war in Iraq, stop new wars, and redirect our resources into healthcare, education, and other life-affirming activities.
This war is shameful, it's unnecessary, it's immoral, it's illegal, it doesn't have the backing of the international community.
If you're going to be fighting the biggest empire that ever existed in the history of humankind, you need a lot of friends, you need a community that you can fall back on, and you need a lot of love, because that's in the end what keeps you going.
To provide positive alternatives, Global Exchange and Co-op America launched green festivals, annual forums for different constituencies of the green economy to connect and collaborate, broaden the market for green goods and services, and celebrate sustainability.
The mission of the Green Festival is to introduce the public to the fact that the green economy already exists.
Today, Global Exchange continues to advance human rights by addressing root causes of injustice and providing resources and inspiration to work for peaceful, nonviolent change.
I think an important role that Global Exchange can play is still making connections between the environmental movement and the human rights movement, seeing that our addiction to oil not only ruins our environment, but also screws up our relationships with people around the world and with our own communities in this country.
We are 4% of the world's people consuming 25% of the world's resources and putting out more than 25% of the world's pollution. That can't continue. We've got to change.
For us, the key at Global Exchange has always been, how do we give people that spark to recognize that a life of activism is the best kind of life you can live?
Can spark enthusiasm for things that are just about to change.